Welcome to Piggy Banks to Wall Street, the show that brings you the greatest minds in financial education. Piggy Banks to Wall Street is brought to you by Wenrich Wealth. To learn more about how Wenrich Wealth can help you plan for your future, or for a second opinion on your current plan, visit www.wenrichwealth.com or call 949-547-4313. Now your host, wealth manager, financial literacy advocate, and author of the book Teaching Kids to Buy Stocks, Stories and Lessons for Grown-Ups, JJ Wenrich.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Piggy Banks to Wall Street. Appreciate you making it and listening today. Today I'm with John Seib, the president of Electus Global Education. He's a certified financial education instructor, just like myself. You may not have known that. I'm a CFEI as well. And John, I've invited him on the program to talk about Electus and their wonderful new product that is coming out soon, the Life Hub Learning Center. So John, how you doing today? Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me. Doing well. It's an exciting time here at Electus, so we're excited to be doing what we're doing. Excited to be here with you today and to share a little bit about not only what we're doing, but more importantly, I think, is the why we're doing it.
No, that's fantastic. You know, I met John just this past year. You reached out through LinkedIn and started to tell me a little bit about what you're doing and why you're doing it. And I remember when we had that first meeting, you started to show me the Life Hub Learning Center. You're doing the presentation. And when you got done, I remember the first thing I said is, you know, that's the coolest thing I've seen in a long, long time. I'm just absolutely fascinated with the product. And then, as we'll talk about in a minute, I absolutely love the mission that you guys have. And as I've started to follow the rest of your team on social media, it just seems like a wonderful organization, a wonderful group of people, and can't wait to share some of what you're talking about with the audience today. So thanks again for joining me. Let's start with the what, because a lot of people, this might be the first time they've heard of the Life Hub Learning Center and Electus Global Education, and then we'll get into the why you guys are doing that. So
great place to start.
Yeah.
And what I will tell the audience out there is it's a very, very deep and rich full technology platform designed to allow children from ages 3 all the way through high school, actually all on into adulthood, to learn financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and life skills. We will touch on what it is as we're talking about it, but I will just say right up front, if somebody would like to reach out to me, a private message me, I will be more than happy to set up an actual demo and walk you through what we're going to talk briefly about. So I'll just throw that out as my only commercial, if I'm allowed that.
Have all the commercial you want. I brought you on here to be a commercial for this product because I think it's just such a wonderful thing. And as I'm sure you'll share with it, it's something that isn't something that's going to be out of reach for most families. You know, a lot of these cool things that come out, it seems like you got to have a ton of money to get involved in it. And you guys, and this will probably get into some of your why, but it's something that really is going to be there for any family that is interested in it. So before I get too far ahead, let's tell us a little bit about what it is.
Okay, I will. What Life Hub is an experiential platform, end-to-end platform designed, like I said earlier, for financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and the associated life skills. What it isn't, and that is usually the easiest way to start to describe it, what it isn't is curriculum. And it isn't knowledge-based, and it isn't a game that you hit a certain level and you're done with. It is 24 interactive module applications that allow real-time, hands-on experience to learn all of these skills. And what I'm talking about there is, for example, savings. The key, the foundation to financial literacy is savings. And I'm asked often, if you can teach your kids one thing, what will it be? And I said, you teach them to be maniacal savers. and you will give them the foundation of a lifetime. And so it starts off with a very, very interactive, and JJ, if you could flip that other picture that we had looked at earlier, I think that will help the audience a little bit. What we start off with is a full hardware and software technology platform. And what it does is it allows that child at 3, 4, 5 years old to really start to learn about money, to get excited about money, to get excited about savings. And when those 4 chambers that you're seeing there, each one of those would represent a child in the household. And as they drop their money in there, that chamber lights up, that computer screen lights up, there's little animation that comes across, and we start to instill at 3, 4, 5-year-olds not only what money is, but that it's exciting, that it's fun, and they can't wait to go get more. And what that obviously leads into is then the entrepreneurship that we can pick up as they continue to move on. So it starts with the very, very basics of saving money, and then it transitions into chores and learning about chores, and then depositing that, and that cycle of earning and saving. And then it grows into where that young child may all of a sudden at 7, 8, 9 years old want to open up a lemonade stand. And what in an experiential platform, that child could go into the business module now and make that lemonade stand a real business. They go in, they click on that module, they set it up, and now they can put in their expenses, they can put in their revenue, and they can start to track at a very, very young age. In that same module, they can go in and click and build their first business plan in a really simple pre-form module that really is filling in the numbers, but now they're learning, again, those entrepreneurship skills at a very, very early age. They can go into their resource center, and there they'll find flyers, and they can build a resume, they can do their business cards, and they go in and a flyer, and again, they're pre-made flyers where they fill in, you know, the dates and the times, and they print them and distribute them around the neighborhood. And now we've added marketing in there, and the results of that. They can go in that same module and go look at the idea center, and maybe that, you know, wow, this thing's really great, but I'd like to do something else. Well, now there's a dog walking business, or maybe they're a balloon artist and they didn't realize that they could turn that into a business. So they can get ideas in that one module, and there's 24 of them in that one business module. They can launch a website. They can, as their businesses grow, they could eventually launch into a platform like a QuickBooks, and all of that experiential learning for that young entrepreneur coming up. As their money grows, then we learn about banking and learning how to set up that first account and deposit that money and watch that grow. If they get very interested in investments at some point in time, they can go into the investment module and set up a mock trading account on a live platform, which we put a nice overlay on, and actually learn to trade stocks at a very, very early age. They may be interested in bartering. Our bartering module is so cool, and I always tell a quick story. I wish when I was raising my son we'd have had that, because he had a great interest in that. And I can remember the first time he did it, he had a little toy, I don't know, soldier or something, and he bartered and ended up with a longboard because that's what he wanted. But anyway, so there's a bartering module in there. One of my favorites is the charities module, where again, starting at a very, very early age, that child can learn about the importance of giving back to the community. And what they will have learned when they're in that charity module or the shopping module is, from the savings module at a very early age, they will have learned to source where their money's come from, and then they also will have learned how to allocate it. So they can go in, now that they're earning money from their businesses and from their chores, and they're saving that, as that new money comes in, they can now allocate 5%, 10%, 15%, whatever they want, to their favorite charity, church, and or organization. There's a hub funding. So as they get a little bit older, and if they want to raise money for their school or for their band or whatever it may be, there's the hub funding module. And the beauty of all of this is all inside of a closed system. So the people that they're reaching out to, they're going to know. They're not going out into the open internet, and they can't. So it's a very, very safe environment. Parents love it. And again, what you're seeing on the screen there is the full hardware software platform. As that, and there's, again, we've touched on a few of the modules, and that's where I said early on is I'm more than happy to walk you through them and really take you on a demo on doing this. But the exciting part about it is we also understand that as that child grows and matures, they're going to outgrow the hardware that we provide and what we needed to gain from it. And then the software, they never will outgrow. So that software then, when they hit that 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, that will transition over to whatever hardware that they have, whether it be an iPad or a Chrome or whatever, personal computer, whatever it may be. And then as they get a little bit older in high school and on into college, they will still be using that software because of the depth that it is, but now it will go over to an application. So we literally take that child from 3 on into college, and for reality on into life with an experience-based platform.
That's just amazing. Every time you say a new thing, I'm like, oh wow, that you've thought of everything that we haven't thought of that you could want. And so for anybody that is just listening, that isn't watching it, it looks like a laptop with 4 chambers, 2 chambers on each side where you can drop money into it. And so that it's as simple as that. It's a really nice looking piece of equipment, but it sounds like, you know, once you grow out of that, then it follows them to whatever device or computer that someone will grow into. But just fascinating how you've thought of all these different things, from the starting of the business, the marketing of the business, to what do you do with your proceeds, helping them brainstorm ideas. It's just absolutely fascinating to me that just the depth and how it's made to evolve with the child. And it's, as something we had talked about before we started recording, it is experiential. You know, for most of us, we can be told something and it can be hard to learn that. But if they always say you learn by doing, and this is really designed to help you learn by doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just fantastic. So you told us what? Tell us a little about why and how this idea came about.
And why is the fun part, although what we have developed is fascinating, and I get more excited every day. But the why, I think, is equally as important. The why is a worldwide issue called financial illiteracy. And we started off as a company with one simple question: is there a solution? And if there is a solution, what does it look like? 3.5 years of research and development before we started putting the design together for LifeHub. But what we found in that research, which I find very, very, very interesting, is most of the approaches to fixing the problem of financial illiteracy always start at, not all, but most start at 12, 13, 14, those middle school years, into high school, college, and even on into adulthood, with an application or a class or a book or whatever it may be. Nothing wrong with that. Absolutely of supporting of all of those. But what they're all trying to do is now modify behavior. Which, as both Chiche and I know as CFEI people, that is a tough course. That is a tough road to walk down when you're starting to modify behavior. The interesting part, in what we really quickly realized, was all of the research pointed in the other direction. All of the research says if you're going to really change the trajectory, if you're going to break generational patterns, which we are so committed to doing, if you're going to really help individuals understand money matters, you have to start early. And the earlier the better. Thus, we start at 3, 4, and 5. And so as we looked at that, going, okay, if the industry points here and the research is here and the solutions are all here, what's the difference? And we really came up with 2 words. And as simple as they are also very, very vast in the approach. And one of them is teach, and the other one is learn. You can teach a middle schooler, you can teach a high schooler, you can teach a college student money matters and corrective action and all of the pieces that go along with that. You can't teach a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old the very basics of learning and understanding money and savings. They have to experience. They have to learn it as opposed to being taught. And so what our philosophy is we take them all the way through. But if we can get that child at 3, 4, 5, and we can instill what we're doing up to those 7 to 9 years, which are the real formative years and where they really cement their beliefs about money and their habits. And if we can have that child up to then and then take them into that middle school and high school and college, now financial education becomes getting them to the next level. Now it becomes teaching them deeper skills and more skills, not modifying their behavior. So at the very, very basis of why we are is a solution to a problem, starting what we believe to be at the right age with the right technology to teach them so that then they can go and learn more.
Well, that's fantastic, because that's the challenge. I think a lot of parents that would like to teach these things, but they don't know how, and even if they think they know how, they may know, they may not know the right way to do things. And you have a solution for all of that. And I love that you are approaching it from the angle of starting kids as early as you can, because there's a kind of a running joke within my audience that when people ask me when's the right time to begin talking to kids about money, I always say, well, as soon as they stop putting the coins in their mouth. You guys, once you teach them to not put the coins in their mouth, put it in the Life Hub, that's about the time to start doing it. So
and you hit on one point, and I'll touch on that real briefly. Again, that is also the beauty of Life Hub. Is the parents don't have to know. In fact, is the most common response we get from parents is, I want one. But if they don't know, it's okay, because Life Hub does the heavy lifting, because it isn't something that they have to teach their children. It's something that they can just learn with them. If they don't understand investing, what they can do is they can go in and set up their own demo account, and they can take what you have put together and take that knowledge based and now put it into an experiential platform, and they can learn right along with their child. And that's the beauty of what Life Hub does, is it takes the hard work away from the parents and makes it just, let's all go learn together, thus Life Hub.
No, absolutely. And kind of anecdotally, what I've seen, I teach classes on personal finance to teenagers. And even I'll say that I haven't taught the classes to younger than teenagers because it's hard for me to think about teaching that younger group. It's a different methodology than it is teenagers and adults. So even I've hesitated to go that route because it's that hard. And I'm, I guess, considered somewhat of an expert on the subject. We'll say that loosely. But the other thing I've found is that both people that read my book, but also when I've taught these personal finance classes for teens, I find that I don't want to say an overwhelming number, but there's always a handful of adults that are sitting there taking the classes as well, where they say, oh, I needed to learn this stuff. So I signed up my kid, and I think that they were paying attention, but really I was doing it so I could talk to my kid about it. And that was the goal of when I wrote my book, was that, all right, I'm going to teach the parents to teach the kids. And some parents, they'd say, all right, I'm just going to give the book to my kid and see if they can interpret it. But the whole goal was to teach the grownups as if they were a child, because we all had to learn the basics before we learned the advanced stuff, and just trying to do that in an easy to consume manner. And so that's the thing I thought of when I first saw you talking about the product, is, wow, that is something that I know a lot of moms and dads are gonna want to go through a lot of this, because having taught plenty of adults, a lot of times it's the same lessons that need to be learned, but were never learned. And so that's when you're dealing with the behavior change of adults. I mean, that's why Dave Ramsey has the audience that he does, is because there's a lot of adults that never learned these lessons. So fascinating. And so the product, it's not out yet, correct? It's coming.
That is correct. We are ready to launch, and we're working on putting that all together. We're going to launch a small Life Hub Lite, smaller version. Again, I won't go into a lot of the details, which will be a web-based for a couple of specific reasons, and people can reach out to me for more details on that. And then our full platform, we are targeting now a launch end of Q2 of 2021. We're set, poised, and ready to start the development, and we're just working on the funding. So you asked, I'll tell you.
Okay, all right, and I won't hold you to it, but give us a ballpark idea on price points.
You know, and I appreciate you asking that because it really cuts into the core of who we are and what we are and why we are. The first thing that I will tell you is we have a firm belief that no child that wants a Life Hub and can't afford it will be without it. We will make sure, we will find a way. We do have our nonprofit, and we will get a Life Hub to every child that wants one and can benefit from it. The way that we have the pricing structured is it's $14.95 a month. You're not leasing it, you're buying it. It's $14.95 a month for 2 years, and then $5.95 a month after that. If you were going to purchase. And the reason that we set it up that way as opposed to, you know, one lump sum up front is we didn't want to be a hardship on any family, and B is what a great learning lesson, because a part of learning money manners and financial literacy is debt obligation. So now we've got this $15 debt, and we've got, you know, 2 kids in the house, and they're starting to get money and earn money, and they're using the system a lot, and it can become an absolute wonderful opportunity for the parent to go up and say, okay, now we're going to split this 3 ways. I'll pay 5, and each one of you got to pay 5. And now they're learning a whole nother skill set. So it was really 2 ways. But I think the exciting thing about what we're doing is the foundations and the organizations and the businesses and the professional athletes and high net worth individuals that we're talking to every day that are looking at what we're doing and saying, you've done it. This is it. This is the solution the world needs right now. And the commitments that we're starting to get now from all of those places that are saying, you know what, we're working with this particular group. We as a company or a business or an individual are going to step in. We're going to buy Life Hubs and make sure that they get distributed into this group that we're already working with. So it's an exciting distribution model. It is a B and C, but if you want a Life Hub and you're going to benefit from it, we're either through the people that we're working with or through our own foundation. We're going to make sure you get one.
Oh, that's just a beautiful thing. It really is, because something that I think is so important, and I know you feel the same way, and there's a lot more awareness of it right now, is inclusion and trying to make sure that we're not leaving any kids behind. Being in financial services for my entire career, I see there's always this focus on you know, whether it be where we're trying to market businesses as financial professionals, kind of going to where the money is. And you don't see good financial advice hit the areas where there's not people to invest money. And it's contributed, it hasn't been the only factor, but it has to be a contributing factor to why we see such a gap in the wealth spectrum that just continues to get worse. And I love the idea of what you said. If you want one, if you need one, you know, we'll find a way to make it happen for you. And even for those that you know, aren't in the lower income demographic, by making it something as inexpensive as $14.95 a month, that's something that, you know, most families are going to be able to digest. You know, it's you know, a little bit more than a Netflix bill. And you know, that it can be hard, even if you just take that, you know, $15 times 12 months or, you know, 24 months, the actual price of it, that's a lot to bite off all at once. And by hitting a price point like that, you really do make it available for pretty much everybody. And like you said, anybody that's an issue for, you find ways around it. So it's just a beautiful way to approach the business model of it. And there's a term that Matt Gardner, who I know that you know, he's been
Money Bears, get his book.
Yeah. Such a good book. He was our guest for our second episode, and just such a wonderful guy. But there's a phrase that he likes to use that he goes, FinLit is the term for the short for financial literacy. And he says the next phase is FinLit tech. And you guys have just nailed it. It's not, all these different businesses, that you need to piece together. You've really hit every angle of financial literacy with one product. And I'm just so excited to watch this story continue to evolve.
Thank you. And I know we've run way over on time, but I'd like to share a story as we conclude here, because I think it really wraps up everything, if that's okay, if I can do that.
Absolutely.
We have an all-pro tight end on our advisory board, and who's actually a shareholder with us now. But when he first looked at LifeHub, very, very in depth, we went through a software demo so we could actually see what we were doing. I'll never forget it because it really etched in me that what we're really, really trying to do here. And he got really, really quiet, and he got really, really humble. And he goes, I don't know how I'm going to be involved or what I'm going to be involved. He goes, but let me tell you, what you have here is hope. And he goes, many of us professional athletes grew up in underprivileged and underserved communities. And he said, when you grow up in that community, you grow up thinking you've got two ways out, crime and pro sports. And he goes, and the reason you don't know anything else is because you never have the chance to be exposed to it. You never have the opportunity to learn about money and money matters. You never have the opportunity to learn entrepreneurship and how to start businesses and grow businesses, manage business. You never have the opportunity that as you have money and you want to learn how to invest it, he goes, you're just not exposed to those things. He goes, and what you have is hope. And he said, I will tell you right now, I will commit to buying a LifeHub and distributing it to the homes in every home in the grade school that I grew up, because they need this. And that really wraps up, I think, really what we are all about is we are driven by the passion of providing a solution, and a solution to a real problem. And we are very, very confident that what we have developed is in fact a true solution, and we're excited to get it out.
That's an awesome story. I just am so thankful to you for sharing that, and for all the work. I know you've put a lot of hard work into this, and it's taken years to get to this point. So I just appreciate your mission. I appreciate your product and everything that you're trying to do. And can't wait to see how everything moves forward. So
thank you for allowing me to be a guest, JJ. And before we pop your book behind you, folks. You need to go buy this man's book.
Well, I appreciate that. It's been a fun journey for me as I've decided to get into financial education and to publish the book. And as you may or may not know, I'm working with John on some things, and so hopefully I'll be a part of this story as well. Anything I can do to be a part of it, I'm happy to, just humbled to be involved. So I appreciate you saying that.
You are a part, and you will be a part, and we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, John, for being on today. And thank you, everybody else, for joining us for another episode of Piggy Banks to Wall Street. We appreciate you being here. And until next time, have a great week.
This podcast is sponsored by Wenrich Wealth. To learn more about how we can help you plan for your future, or for a second opinion on your current plan, visit our website at www.wenrichwealth.com or call 949-547-4313. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA and SIPC. Wenrich Wealth, Teaching Kids to Buy Stocks, Golden Seal Productions, and OC Talk Radio are not affiliated with LPL Financial. The opinions in this matter are for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations or a substitute for specific tax or legal advice for any individual. we suggest that you discuss your specific situation with a qualified tax or legal advisor. No strategy assures success or protects against loss. JJ's book, Teaching Kids to Buy Stocks, Stories and Lessons for Grown-Ups, is available at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and other fine book retailers. Learn more at TeachingKidsToBuyStocks.com. Piggy Banks to Wall Street is proud to be a part of the Golden Seal Productions family of shows.